Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Hamilton County Solid Waste Policy Committee meeting, Wednesday, August 19, 2026. Thank you all for being here. We think Sue is on her way, but we're going to go ahead and
Does anybody check the other room just to be sure? She's not in. Okay.
The parking lot.
Okay. I was like, just in case.
At least 20 minutes ago. I'm sure that's her.
Yeah.
At least it's getting started.
All right, well, if she was in the parking lot 20 minutes ago, perhaps she isn't.
99% girl.
Yeah.
All right, we will go search for Sue.
Yeah.
And hope she arrives shortly. All right, let's move to item number 2, which is the approval of the minutes. You had a chance to look at those minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes dated May 20th, 2026 is provided in the board packet.
I can second.
All right, is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
All right,
Opposed? Thank you. We've got some public comment cards. You take them in the order that they were provided to me. So David Andre is first.
Let's stand up.
Welcome. Come on up to the podium if you don't mind.
All right, for sure.
You've got the pleasure of the floor for 3 minutes.
3 minutes. I think I can do better than that.
All right, great.
Took some notes because I can get distracted and long-winded. My name is David Andre. I'm with Go Zero Services. We provide food scrap composting collection services since 2015 in town. I'm here in the spirit of showing up. Stick to the script to make sure I'm not missing anything. Wanted to take a minute to say thank you for your care and efforts as it relates to addressing food scrap and stewarding food scrap for the county and all your work. I know that it's a thankless job, and sometimes it's heartbreaking. Primarily, what I want to say today is that I want to say something that I've said in private, but for the record, made time come that we're committed to participating and helping to build infrastructure to address food scrap in the county and across the region. In the last 5 years, Go Zero has been pretty focused on providing services and establishing our operations in Logan County. But with having in these last 6 months been licensed by the Ohio EPA to do food scrap composting there and operationalizing that facility, we're back to a point where we'd like to spend more time and energy focusing on markets we serve in Cincinnati, Hamilton County in particular. Specifically, focused on wanting to establish local operations, drive down costs, expanding capacity and access, and keeping composting ever easier, ever more positive and ever more fun, which maybe you gotta be like me for it to be a fun thing, but what can I say? At the end of the day, just happy to be here. Appreciate a few moments. How am I doing? Still got time. Here to request county support, garnering goodwill, political will, public trust. I think with those, Go Zero's in a unique position to be able to help bring investment and try to be catalytic in causing the future to look, a little bit different and a little bit better, in the space of food scrap, composting and organic recycling more in general. So I think that was about it. Thanks for your time. Appreciate the floor, and I look forward to continued dialogue and progress for our shared goals. So good to see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
thank you.
Our next speaker is Marie Precocious. Good afternoon.
I am Rita Pocious. I'm representing the Miami Good Living Sierra Club today, and we are here again. I've been here before to encourage the tier 2 increase from $2 a ton to $4 a ton. We know that I have a figure of 53% of the tonnage that comes into our landfill at Rumpke comes from out of the counties, Warren, Butler, and Claremont, and they pay their $2 a ton, but they don't pay the infrastructure that's needed, the roads, all kinds of infrastructure, and of course, what Rumpke has said. We believe that this influx of out of county waste is shortening the lifespan of our landfill. There have been no raises since 1989. We feel a raise of $2 a ton to $4 a ton will help to build the organics processing centers that the consultant recommended for Cincinnati, for the county, excuse me. And that money would be, obviously, I would have to be infrastructure and operating expenses of these three organics processing facilities. And we need these three things in order to begin to collect and process organics. And organics, as you know, are contribute to leachate and methane. And if we can get these organics out of the landfills by using these three organic composting facilities, that would be a big win for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maria. Our next speaker is Tim Mara. Good afternoon.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Tim Mara, and I'm a member of the Solid Waste Caucus. And I offer the following statement regarding the proposed Tier 2 fee increase, which is item 5E on your agenda. Bob Gennard has given you a detailed proposal for use of the increased revenue, and you have the information you need. But this committee has been discussing the potential increase for quite some time, and each time you kick the can down the road. Now is the time for action. It is important to note that more than half of the waste, which is disposed of at Rumpke's Colerain landfill, comes from outside Hamilton County, but within the state of Ohio, mostly Butler, Claremont, and Warren counties. Because all three of these counties export their waste to Hamilton County, they successfully externalize all the problems encountered by residents surrounding the Colerain landfill, including odors, potential disease, damage to their homes from explosions from Rumpke's ongoing expansion, resulting in loss of property values and general impact on the quality of their lives. All of this was described in detail in recent articles in the Cincinnati Enquirer last month and in newscasts by several of the local television stations. As you know, residents surrounding the Bond Road landfill owned by Rumpke are concerned that they will face the same fate if Rumpke reactivates and expands that landfill as a successor to Rumpke's Colerain landfill. An increase in Tier 2 fees will give the Hamilton County Solid Waste District the revenue it needs to support the infrastructure development and operational expenses of the county-wide organics processing program and related efforts. It could also be used to expand recycling to include large multifamily developments, most of which do not participate in recycling. To increase Tier 2 fees would not be unfair to our neighboring counties. After all, the waste they export to Hamilton County greatly shortens the lifespan of Rumpke's Colerain landfill and accelerates the time when Rumpke reactivates and expands the Bond Road landfill. It is time for Hamilton County to be fair to its residents and to stop being exploited by its neighboring counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Our next speaker is Julia, is it Marchese?
Marchese.
Marchese, sorry about that. Good afternoon.
Hi, thanks. My name is Julia and I am a co-founder of Queen City Commons Cooperative. We have been operating a food scrap hauling service here in Hamilton County and Cincinnati since 2020. Using our truck, actually purchased with the support of the Hamilton County Resource Grant. We collect residential and commercial food scraps. And we've also had the honor to partner with the city of Cincinnati this year, implementing a USDA grant funded residential drop-off program that has really exponentially grown residential composting participation. And then in addition to building up this hauling infrastructure, we have also co-led the effort with a myriad of collaborators to form a decentralized network of compost sites across Hamilton County. And every single pound of the 2.3 million pounds of food scraps that we have collected have all been composted locally, primarily with just 6 farms. The need for organics processing infrastructure and hauling to grow in tandem is crucial. This is why I am speaking in support of increasing the Tier 2 out-of-district landfill fee and directing this additional revenue toward building Hamilton County's organics processing and hauling infrastructure. The county's own data show that Tier 2 waste represents more than half of the landfill's tonnage and roughly 69% of tipping fee revenue. Increasing this fee would directly allow Hamilton County Resource to allocate funding towards growing organics processing and hauling capacity in our region. Some of these activities and programs could include the expansion of small and medium scale decentralized composting sites across the county, which we're already seeing with the on-farm composting partnership program, the improvement and expansion of hauling services and other incentive programs to efficiently get food scraps from generators to these actual processing sites. And then thirdly, also focusing on market development by establishing procurement policies and other mechanisms that create a reliable demand for locally produced finished compost, because it's a product after all that we need to be using. So with Hamilton County in the beginning stages of planning and budgeting, we are in a deeply opportune moment to be doing everything we can to keep food scraps out of the landfill and to build nutrient-rich soils. Building a resilient processing and hauling system that prioritizes hyperlocality, quality, scale, and meets the needs of our community will require substantial and meaningful investment. Increasing the Tier 2 landfill fee is the next action step that the county needs to take to move all of this forward. Great time.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Lisa Wynn.
I'm Lisa Wynn, as a member of Ditch the Dump. As landfill capacity impacts the Bond Road, landfill diversion is always going to be a priority. The Adams and Claremont County Waste Management Plan of 2025 states landfill capacity remains abundant and exceeds the available volume of waste generated locally. Consequently, tipping fees are low and landfills continue to be the most economical, feasible, disposable option. Their recycling rate is only 38%. Warren County's recycling rate is 21%, and Butler County is 21%. Butler County Management Plan says that there is competition within the region with waste directed to multiple landfills with neighboring counties as well as Indiana and Kentucky. This competition is also a factor for low landfill tip fees, which adds to the economic challenge of recycling. The majority of the district's waste is disposed of at Rumpke's Sanitary Landfill in Hamilton County. Whether it be composting, recycling, or other intervention, all take funds to address. While garbage mountains grow, we worry about our homes, our health, our property values, and they should have a reason to be concerned too. I want to commend Colerain Township for exploring recycling for multifamily units. Raising out-of-county tipping fees is not only reasonable as they are low as stated in our neighboring counties' waste management plans. Hopefully, we can help Hamilton County stay low on the U.S. largest landfills list. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all for your public comments. Next is the resource revenue update and analysis. Chuck?
So this is attachment B, and you'll see we have the revenue for 2025 through June, was 2026 through June. For in-district, we had about a 15,000 ton increase, which is about 3%. For out of district, we had about a 58,000 ton increase, which is 90%. And for out of state, we had a 27% increase, which is about 15,000 as well. So overall, about 88,000 ton increase over 2025. So revenue is up about $146,000 over the 2025 percent.
Any questions for Michelle? Okay, thank you, Michelle, for that. Let's move into policy items for discussion. The first item is the general interest member position. And so we had a committee with Greg and Colleen. So Greg, I'm gonna turn it to you.
Perfect. So Colleen and I talked about the applicants. There were 4. Colleen narrowed it down to 3, and I took a swipe and narrowed it down to 2 individuals. We interviewed Don Prebles and Rick Shoney, and they were both great interviews. Rick quite a bit about recycling and is pretty passionate about that work, but ultimately we decided Dom had a lot more experience, in part because of his time on this committee. He had a lot of background, so I believe we both are recommending Dom for the position.
Yeah,
I'll turn it over to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they were sort of pretty even, I would say, but we felt that Dom would have a less of a learning curve, let's say. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, are one of you making a motion?
I will make a motion to advance Dom's application to serve on this committee for another term.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Dom, I think Dom is Dom on virtual? Dom, we want to thank you for your willingness to continue to serve. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And again, it's the four of us, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Congratulations, Dom. You're back on the committee.
We don't have.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm honored to be asked to serve again. So you guys will have to deal with me another 2 years.
We'll be delighted.
Thanks,
to join you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
All right, the next item is the food rescue equipment grant, and I understand that Tony is going to lead this conversation. This is attachment C in your packet. Hey, Tony.
Oh, sorry, let me grab my water. I lost my voice a little bit. We utilized some funds from our overage to present a special grant opportunity to our food rescue partners this year. There are numerous agencies in Hamilton County that rescue food and serve the community in a variety of ways. This was a competitive grant for food rescue equipment. So we were targeting this specifically at addressing the needs for equipment that will increase their diversion rate by at least 250 tons over the next 2 years. So this was to generate new diversion. We have selected 4 agencies based on our criteria. So they had to be able to demonstrate the ability to divert at least an additional 250 tons from the landfill over 2 years. They had to provide a methodology for how they would determine that. That is a large amount of material that they would be recovering and redistributing. So we wanted to make sure that they had strong ability to understand what they were collecting, what they're getting into, and to succeed at diverting 250 tons. They'd have a well-reasoned timeline, project goal activities. Your grant budget had to be clear. We had to have quotes. We were asking for shovel-ready projects. So we wanted to make sure they were very serious about what they needed to be able to grow. They had to make sure they had a commitment to, the goal of diverting 200 tons, but also generating new opportunities to recover that material. So we've had a lot of success. We're diverting a lot of material. We want to see that grow in that sector. And then they also had to demonstrate an approach that they were going to partner with other agencies. We didn't want an agency to come to us and say they're going to be the sole, savior to this problem. There is no Superman. We have many agencies that can work together, and we wanted to make sure that they were going to work in partnership with others. So we're recommending Feed the Soul charity, FCS charity, $182,000, $182,8796. They are going to be able to devote 250 tons over 2 years by expanding and purchasing refrigeration, temperature control, transportation, and general food processing infrastructure. The soup asked for $200,000. They'll be able to divert. They said 231. We think that they can hit the 250 with their ancillary information that they shared. They're in the room. They're listening to me. Purchase and install 3 custom walk-in coolers and freezers. So their grant for was very forward and very clear. They would like to expand their refrigeration. Last mile food rescue for expanding large load rescue. They are seeing a large increase in the amount of distressed loads that they can take and distressed loads that they would like to take. They had a truck that we previously purchased for them. They would like to get a truck that can haul about 30% more weight. So they requested $200,000 for that swap and that increase. And then last is Lincoln Heights Outreach Incorporated. They asked for $190,000 to hit their 252 tons over 2 years to purchase refrigeration, food handling equipment, and expand rescue capacity in Lincoln Heights and then the surrounding communities like Lockport. So we felt very strongly these 4 agencies could meet our goal. We estimated the total tonnage. Michelle will show that in PowerPoint later, but about 1,400 tons over 2 years. And so We're very confident that these four agencies can meet that goal. We received over 11, we received over 10, we received 11 applications. Everybody did a fantastic job. But we really had to go with the agencies who could meet our diversion goal for a sizable investment. So, I think what we're asking is that the policy committee, approves our recommendation.
Entertain a motion to approve the recommendation.
I'll motion to approve the recommendation for grant proposals for food rescue equipment grant.
A second.
All right, any discussion or any questions for Tony? Thank you for the presentation. That's great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. So for those of you that are following along, you can tell I'm working off an old agenda. So let's bump back up to 5B, which is the 2027 solid waste budget. That is attachment C, and Michelle is going to take that conversation.
On the wrong side. All right, those online will just have to read my notes. They're not embarrassed. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the 2027 budget that has been submitted that we can still make changes to. And how it compares to our solid waste plan, and then also go over long-term carryover expenses. So this is in attachment C, this graph, I'm sorry, it's a little. It's a little hard to read up on this screen, but you probably see it better in attachment C. So these are our largest expenses in 2027. They're same large expenses that we had last year. Our largest program is the residential recycling incentive program at $800,000 that goes to communities. Our yard trimmings drop off is budgeted $110,000, which we have to budget for the maximum amount of yard waste that those sites could receive. We don't usually spend that much funds. And then Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Health are funded right now at $18,000. We will be talking about that in a few minutes. Our House of Hazardous Products collection, we're budgeting at $250,000. This program really varies depending on what communities are participating, how much participation we receive, and what residents bring in. We pay per item that residents are bringing in. Our business assistance programs are budgeted at $220,000, and our environmental enforcement is budgeted at $187,000, and tires at $22,000. So I will talk a little bit after this slide about deviations from the solid waste plan and the budget. So I wanted to talk a little bit because we talked about our carryover and our expenses. So going over those lines, the dark black line, I guess it is expenses. You can see that is planning to spike in 2027 with the spend of the on-farm composting and the food rescue equipment grant. The revenue is, we're projecting that to remain relatively steady. That's the blue line. And then the gold line is the 8 months operating expenses. So the 8 months operating, I put a little bit of reminder of what that entails. That's if, Rumpke Sanitary Landfill were to close tomorrow, it would take us that long to pull together what our new fee structure would be, basically. So that's why the policy committee adopted that 8 months operating. So on average, from 2023 to 2025, though, we only spend about 82% of our budget. So we're, even though you can see, I don't know if you can't see on it, but in 2028, at the end of 2028, the green bar in the back, which is our cash balance, which is our, the where we would be pulling the 8 months operating from, it does dip below at the end of 2028 carryover funds. I can always come back to this, questions about it. I know that's a lot. But we don't usually spend the full amount. So the last 3 years, we've spent 82%. Conservatively, we say that if revenue matches 92%, then we have a balanced budget. We know that we're not going to spend it all. So we're likely not going to spend 92%. That's kind of the most we ever spend. And that's why we use that, but it will likely be, like I said, the last 3 years, the average was 82%. So key difference is the solid waste plan. We have a budget that we said we're going to follow, and that's what we go after. There's things that change. So our household hazardous products program is more expensive than we projected. You know, we have to put it out for bid. We get those bids, so the expenses are going to come in. So that is $50,000 more than what we said we would spend in the plan. I'm going to skip health department, come down the end. Yard trimmings drop off. Again, that's another contract that came in higher. So that is 140,000 more than we projected in the plan. And the environmental enforcement is 50,000 or 57,000 more. That is mainly the way the sheriff changed the way that they bill us. So that's that was an increase that when we were doing the plan, we didn't expect. The health department costs, the Hamilton County Public Health is requesting a 12% increase. That's a little over 40,000. But those costs keep going up. The costs of labor go up. I would say Hamilton County Public Health and Cincinnati Health Department, who we contract for, they do really important work inspecting solid waste facilities and ensuring, working to protect public health. And so that increase that Hamilton County Public Health is asking for, which is outlined in the attachment, is really to cover extra composting facilities that they would be inspecting, that they're anticipating inspecting, but also their costs of inspecting the Rumpke Sanitary Landfill is going up because they have the new Citizen Convenience Center, and it's just taking their staff more time to do that than it used to. So my request is that because this is different from the solid waste plan, that the policy committee would pass a motion to approve these differences from the plan. And I think that's the end of budget discussion. Any questions?
So the new Citizen Convenience Center, I thought that was in Claremont County. Is that in Hamilton County?
That's a different thing. Citizen Convenience Center, they have one at Rumpke Sanitary Landfill. It used to be that if you went to the landfill and you were in a pickup truck, you had to drive up to the tipping, to the working phase. Now you can go into the convenience center and it's much safer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little.
So they made changes at the Struble Road one. Gotcha.
And then I just have some general questions that kind of came up from comments and things. Are the tipping fees, can they only go to resource programs or can they go to other county budget items?
There's 11 allowable uses. There used to just be 10, but they added 11.
Okay.
And so they have to be related to solid waste activities. So it can't go, and funding local health departments is one. So
Okay.
while the fees go through us, we fund those local health.
Okay. And then what would if we were to put in a tier 2 increase, how long again does that take for that is that the 8 months?
It is 6 months, and I actually
Okay.
have that in a slide if you want me to go to it. It's helpful.
Yes, just to remind me, how does this work?
It's a variant, so excuse me if this is going to cause you motion sickness. Timely increase. There it is. So if the policy committee wanted to increase fees and you had the resolution today, we would need to do a public hearing. So we would have to do a public notice. We would put it out, and then we would do the public hearing before the next meeting. And then at that meeting, if you decided you would adopt a resolution, it would go to the Board of County Commissioners and 48 communities to approve or disapprove. In order to pass it, we need the Board of County Commissioners, the city of Cincinnati, and communities representing 60% of the population, just like the solid waste plan. And then if that was the case, the policy committee at the February meeting would declare the fee approved, and then April 1, 2027 facilities can start.
Okay. And then if they started collecting in April, then when would the county actually receive that? Or would that actually start in April as well?
I would assume it'd be the next month.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like quarterly or how that worked. Okay. And then, how are the tipping fees actually paid? Is that something that's kind of included in everybody's bills? Or how does that work?
What I've seen is that usually, at least with Rumpke, they will have a line item at the bottom that
Okay.
spells out the different fees, like the state fee, but I couldn't speak to that exactly. I can't say that for sure.
But they do pass it along.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Tony?
No, that's okay.
Questions over here?
Yeah.
I have a question about the enforcement deputy. Could you talk just a little bit more about that increase?
So that is based on, how they changed the billing and I might ask for Ally and Ashley's help with this, but they used to bill it hourly, or maybe, I'm not sure, but they used to bill it a certain way, and then they changed it based on what their actual costs of the deputy are, so it's more, it includes more of that deputy cost to us, so, we have a contract with them for that billing, so it's not, they just came out of the blue with it, we negotiated that contract, but it's different from what we expected them.
What is the total expenditure annually under the new price?
I want to say it's around 180. Sorry about that.
So that covers full-time officer and his vehicle.
And his vehicle and any fuel costs or maintenance costs. It is 187,000 a year.
Okay. And I do have one more question then. Is there more that you think we could be doing as a county if we did increase the tier 2 fees right now?
Oh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. There's
Getting there.
yeah. I mean, for sure, there would be other things.
I mean, on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Do you want to discuss it now, or do you want to?
No, that's okay. I think that for now, it would be good to think about the 2027 budget, and then I could go into the organics update and we can talk more about
Okay.
The increase. All right, I do have one other question about the health department costs.
I will be abstaining from that portion of
All
the
right.
discussion, but Craig Davidson is here.
All right. Yeah, so as described, there's an anticipation of having to work to make sure the composting facilities are what they should be by way of regulations. So talk to me just a little bit about that, because we've just heard about the increase in composting throughout the entire county in different communities. So could you help us better understand what you're seeing on the ground that necessitates the increase?
So specifically, it's the Great Parks Class 3 compost facility. We'll be utilizing the manure and the biochar as part of the process. So we're just wanting to make sure this is reflected, our activities to keep an eye on that with the 2027 contract. So we're proposing we do a minimum quarterly review of that site.
Okay, so it's specifically for that.
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, are there any other questions from Michelle? Okay, you need a motion to approve of?
To approve the differences, the key increases from the solid waste.
Okay,
Motion to approve the amended budget from the original solid waste plan.
And I'll second.
all right, any further discussion?
Just for the minutes, my yes vote in a moment will also include an extension for health district increases.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. All right, let's go back up to the agenda. The next order of business is the organics processing capacity. And we're going to be talking about the pilot program that we are running, the on-farm composting, in addition to the results of the RFI that we put out not too long ago, the request for information, so that we can better understand the landscape for composting throughout Hamilton County to help us to get some direction as to where we are and where we want to head. So Michelle, please take it away.
Did that help? Sorry, and sorry to everyone who has to read my. So I do want to just give kudos to Tony, for all the work with the food recovery equipment grant. I know we kind of everyone just passed that without fanfare, but it does represent a significant and noteworthy investment in food rescue infrastructure, and to those organizations doing really amazing work to feed hungry people for this food, makes it to composting. This is higher on the hierarchy than composting. So I think it's really important, and it's the biggest investment we've ever made in rescue infrastructure. So thank you for passing that. But I will move on since we already talked about that. I did want to give an update on our Hamilton County Partnership for On-Farm Composting. This is a partnership we have with the Hamilton County Conservation District. And we put out a request for interest. We received interest for 22 farms, which was amazing. Our plan was to work with 5 farms. So we had a lot of work to do to narrow it down. We met with every farm that was in Hamilton County. There were a few outside of the county that we didn't meet with, but we still talked to on the phone. We right now are working with a consultant, design sites. We kind of put together site plans for 5 farms. So those are Gorman Heritage Farm, Bar Farm, Soname Heritage, Meals that Heal, and Teacoon Farms. And those, with those 5 farms, we expect over 1,000 tons of food scrap processing capacity a year. This will, change as those sites are more fully designed. So our plan is get the sites designed to understand, have a much better understanding of how much site we need and what kind of equipment and infrastructure. And then I'll plan on coming at the November meeting with actual grant amounts for each of these sites. But we're really excited about this program. It will, even once we implement that though, it will take several years to get these up and running. We're well aware of that, but the farms are really excited, and we were just blown away by how much interest there was in this.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Is right now, does it look like all of those are gonna stay under 500 square
No.
each? Okay.
No. In fact, only one of them probably.
Could you, I don't know, sure people will pick that up, the question up,
Just say
online.
it again.
Could you say it louder? Yes, sir.
Are they all gonna stay under 500 square feet?
Yeah, and so what our consultant who's working on this with us did is actually go through the Ohio EPA registration process for not the process of like actually applying, but all of the questions that they asked to become a class 2 food scrap composting with each of the sites to see if there were any red flags and things like, oh, well, you couldn't do this, you're in a floodplain or whatever. And so that actually helped us narrow the site down to those 5. Yeah. But I think one of them will stay under the Meals that Heal, a smaller community garden.
Do you have, you probably don't have it on the top of your head, but the square foot, for each of the locations that they're willing to offer up for processing?
We do, yeah.
Okay. Can
I
get
just,
that?
you're right, I don't have them on. But yeah, we made it. But we interviewed them all.
So how close are we to like the, to the, 20 acres?
So we're looking at it more as tons per year processing than necessarily the acres.
Okay.
When we were looking at, with the 3 sites that the consultant recommended, one of those sites would take 5,000 tons of food scraps a year.
Right.
So this would take about 1,000 tons of food scraps a year. So
Okay,
that's,
so the consultants recommended 3 sites that take 5,000 each, but we're at 5 sites that take a combined 1,000. So we're not really quite there.
no, yeah, this program, and never did we think that the farms would be able to totally take it all, but
Okay.
with one of those sites that would take 5,000 tons of food scraps, it was up to 14 million cost. Whereas this program, where we're partnering with farms, is $1 million and it's 1,000 tons. So
Step one. Yeah.
Some other things that we have cooking, the USDA composting and food waste reduction grant. I've not talked about this too much lately, but if you remember in 2023, we applied for a grant, partnered with Adams Claremont, Solid Waste District, and for 3 sites. They were Carriage House Farms, Valley View, and Brick Gardens, or the Aiken site. And so all 3 of those, the Carriage House and Valley View are well underway. Brick Gardens has also done a lot of activity in the last couple months, so they are partnering with Aiken High School, which is really exciting because they are, there'll be high school students involved and have a great place to learn about composting there on site. The Aiken High School has a lot of, they're an agricultural school, they have a farm, and if you should follow them on social media, they have really good.
They have guinea fowl.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's fun.
what the heck is a guinea fowl?
So this was a $400,000 grant we received through USDA, and we provided a $100,000 match. So we're hoping to wrap all this up by the end of September. And by the end, we expect that this to have about 686 tons of organics processing capacity. So that's everything yard in terms of scraps. The Camp Washington aerated static pile compost demonstration site, we've been working with those. We've been meeting with the city of Cincinnati too, to help move forward on getting them a class 2 composting registration. They are projecting that this year they will have 210 tons of food scrap processed. They might be able to do up to 750 tons per year, but even the 210 is impressive to me. So, but they are regrading the site and getting equipment. So that is well underway as well. I also wanted to mention, this is something we've been struggling with a little bit because of the county's insurance requirements, but we are planning on partnering with 3 large food rescue partners, the 3 largest, to basically subsidize the cost of food scrap collection from them for composting. So this helps build infrastructure, but it also helps the food rescue organizations. We are working on a reimbursement model, so we're working on MOUs with that right now. It's taken longer than expected, but we will get through the red tape and make that happen. So this is the one that I saved for last, the composting partners, the big request for interest that we put out. We were hoping to pull in both compost operators and that had at least 6 acre compost sites. There were a few really interesting takeaways from this. Almost everyone that we talked to talked about the need to help secure feedstocks for their operations, for their business. So how can the county step in and help make those connections between the food manufacturers or the food rescue partners or whoever it is who's creating the food scraps and those who are collecting or composting it. There was several who also needed help with community outreach and public relations. That's a specialized skill that, bringing in somebody who is really good at that to be able to get that community input and buy-in when a facility is operating could be a really valuable piece of support. Helping with the market development on the finished compost, helping with education and training for operators, just help, grant writing or even just identifying grants, and then help navigating the regulations. So we have the Ohio EPA's regulations. We also have the solid waste rules that new compost facilities that are class 2 or above have to go. So helping navigate those. There were a range of requests of county funding, ranging from we don't want your funds, but we want your help with community outreach to, we would expect it to take $500,000 to start up to $14 million to start a compost facility. One interesting piece of, suggestion was developing of a countywide organics diversion strategy that is broadly supported by stakeholders, and highlights feedstock availability for long term. So, a lot of that is, securing feedstocks. We talked to two current yard trimmings composting facilities that are interested in adding food scraps. And so helping to support them. I think the biggest thing that, you know, we can do is helping to secure those feedstocks, but also helping with the community outreach piece of it. And then we did hear from several that we need more support for communities to start food scrap drop-offs, like the city of Cincinnati is. You know, we've given grants before, but SWACO, our counterpart in Franklin County, has a grant program specifically for food scrap drop-offs that cost them $12,000 a year, so not a big cost. So those were the big takeaways from that process. We did bring someone from the outside, from Alloy, in to then on this investment. So I wanted to highlight one thing that we did see consistently. And, you know, we've been working a lot in the processing for composting. I think during the RFI, we heard a lot about the need to work higher up. So, you know, you've got your generators of the materials, you have the collection infrastructure to get it from point A to point B. And so there was a lot of requests to, can you help in this area as well as the processing. So I kind of wanted to highlight that. This is, and I apologize for my crude mapping skills, but this is a map of composting facilities. So the blue dots are the current registered class 4 yard waste composting, and then our 1 class 3 at Parkey's Farm composting site. The green are the on-farm composting sites that we are currently working with. And then there's one maroon one there in the middle, that is the Camp Washington site. And then there are the purple ones are the USDA sites that I mentioned. Any questions about that? Sorry. I'm sure there's someone who's cringing right now at better math. So this is the fee increase timeline that I mentioned earlier. So I don't think I need to go over that again. I did want to bring up our next solid waste plan update, believe it or not, starts in August of 2027. So we will start the plan update process then. And this is their timeline that's on Ohio EPA's website, that if the final would be due February 2nd, 2030. But we could, as we did last time, shorten that timeline. This is just kind of if we did it to the longest extent that they had it. So I just wanted to mention that process is starting again next year. So next step recommendations from the staff end. I think we should obviously continue the partnerships with the farm and making progress there. I think we should continue supporting the mini compost demonstration site. You know, supporting communities with yard trimmings, you know, those communities and the for-profit yard trimmings composting facilities that want to add food scraps, helping with that community outreach. I think that's important from both ends, from getting that community input and genuinely engaging with the community, but also helping to support, you know, composters are not community outreach specialists. Most of them are not as well spoken as Julia or David. So helping them, you know, helping to do that outreach, I think would be really beneficial. And then helping to secure the feedstocks that we can. Those would be next steps. So that is I'm sure there are questions. Happy to take them.
So, and just to level set, because we've got some new folks in the room. So the RFI was intended to identify what the needs are, what the opportunities are, also for those either in the nonprofit, public, or private sector already doing some of this work with organics to help us better identify what our role is in this and whether or not we need increased resources to participate in a significant way to upping our collection of organics to divert from the landfill. So that was the whole purpose for the RFI and the farm project too. I mean, on a lower scale, we knew it would be less than what we need to do overall. But the farm project is kind of a pilot to kind of get ourselves going in this space. And so that's, it's helpful to have this information. I'm gonna lead off with questions. I'm sure everybody has questions. Two things. So as I'm doing my 49 and 49, so I go visit all 49 jurisdictions in the county. As it's my third time out, so it's always informative. I've heard a lot. I introduce this topic when I go out because I want to know if people are interested, and they generally are. In some communities like Wyoming are already doing this work, and so the question then becomes, you know, are they situated in the county where everybody has access to them, or are they all on one side of town or another side of town? Because I think access is going to be really important. And is there a way to partner with them to expand what they are doing? Do they want us to partner to expand? And is that an efficient way for us to expend our resources in addition to other things that we're doing, right? So I've been trying to feel out the communities. A lot of them have composting already. I've been really surprised at the volume. So I just want to throw that out there. I have not mapped it. My mapping would be worse than yours. But I know there's interest in having us partner with them to expand what's already happening in some of those communities. The other piece of this that I think is interesting, because we have been very hyper-focused on facilities. Like, you know, is it a big facility? Is it a small facility? How many facilities? Where do they go? You know, all those kinds of conversations. We've had those multiple times around this table. This contemplates us moving into a space not exclusive of the other so much as who's collecting the organics, and how do we get that volume up from the community partners, households, right, that are generating the waste to begin with. And that's something we have not talked much about. And what would that infrastructure look like if we were to step into that space? And I hear you say there aren't many doing that. So I'm intrigued by that. I think it's interesting to think about, because I feel like we've always thought about our role as the physical facilities, not so much the collectors of the organics. So I just I'm intrigued by that. You highlighted it. So I hope that we keep thinking through what is the best way, either with current resources or with additional resources, to be aggressive in this space as partners with those that are already doing. So with that, who else has questions?
I will say that was my big, question too, as Michelle was talking, was if we don't have enough feedstock to fill what's already there, then I think we're doing them a disservice, and we're kind of, you know, why are we not putting a little bit more extra money in to make sure that's successful instead of giving the money and not making it successful? So I feel like we kind of have to raise the other part of the whatever it is, start spinning that plate, you know, and then as capacity grows, then maybe we can upgrade some of the other facilities that are existing, but then maybe we'll come to a point too where we're like, okay, we need to start for the bigger place. But I feel like, you know, if there's a way to add infrastructure as far as logistics goes, that would be a good place to focus, I think, at this point. Yeah.
Who else?
I'm curious if staff have thought about the different models. Do they add up to the number that was being hoped for by the solid waste committee? Meaning, if you add up the number for farms and the USDA sites, the Cincinnati site, and a couple of the proposals that are maybe a little more realistic and not asking for 17 million, do we get where we hope to get?
It's a really good idea, Greg. I did not add those up. I will do that as.
Yeah, well, we need more questions now, so that we can do some math equations. Because we heard you say 1,000 tons per year through the farm program.
Yeah, through the 5.
Right,
And then
right,
600
But
and
then there are 15 others that.
Yeah.
Huh.
right.
Yeah.
And what did we say the goal was, the total?
Well, for the first site, it would be, if we would build the 14 million medium scale composting facility, it would be 5,000 tons of food scrap processing capacity.
Plus
So-
additional-
We need 3 5,000 ton
What I'm
ones
asking,
eventually,
what's in the goal?
or, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that there was really a goal set
Okay.
necessarily for that. The, the three sites, the three 5,000 ton sites would only cover what is generated residentially. What would be composted residentially, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it did not cover completely, or what could be composted residentially. It did not cover all of the commercial as well. There's 138,000 tons of food scraps landfilled every year in Sonoma County. And the study looked at how much of that could feasibly actually be captured, because clearly, we know with recycling, you don't capture everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm not able to pull that number off the top of my head of how much they thought, how much they thought of that 138,000 tons could be captured. That would be the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, I know for the 3 medium-sized sites, it was gonna be 18,000 tons a year, but it was like a third of that was food scraps, the rest was all the other stuff. The ground.
So do we have a capacity problem? And can that capacity problem be solved by all the partners you mentioned?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know for sure. I feel like right now, what we're hearing through the RFI is that the processing capacity it was not the big tension point, that it's the infrastructure, investment in infrastructure and the companies who are collecting the materials.
So logistics.
And then also help with, what we've seen with manufacturers is even just the technical assistance and grants to help them get the material from, into the plant down to the dock where they can be picked up. Like it's a logistics issue there, and it requires a lot of handholding and working with them.
And does any of this require like a depacking facility too as well?
It may down the road.
Okay.
When you get to industrial stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of lower hanging fruit than
Okay. And then you had mentioned, totally don't know where, like all of the farms that you had kind of like interviewed, I think you said 22 of them, and then narrowed down to 5. And the consultant had kind of gone through the EPA requirements. Are some of those like totally off the list, or something where it could be like with a little help, they could still
You
be?
mean the other ones that aren't?
Yeah, that
Yes,
aren't in this
absolutely.
five.
There
Okay.
were other ones in there that would be great partners, but we can't work with everybody.
Yeah.
We just didn't have
Yeah, okay.
staff capacity or the funding.
So it seems if we don't have a capacity issue, there's also potential capacity in all these places that can be improved through grant funding. That seems to me the place to attack this question, rather than building more capacity.
Yeah, it's like we don't need to recreate the wheel if the wheel's already out there doing the job. We just need to make it a better wheel.
Right, I know that, I was shocked when I looked up the numbers for composting in the US, it's 27-28%, which kind of blew my mind, and I don't know if I think that's just people that also compost at home and use it. I know that Whole Range program has been less successful than I hoped. I think we have about a dozen people that compost from that original, and doing some back of the envelope math, that's, it's 0.2%. And if you extrapolate to the county, that's a problem. So it seems like we have capacity, but we also we need to create a demand for it. And that's the other issue, I think. And that might be just an educational issue or a PR issue. Just like I think it was for many years with recycling. I mean, in college, we joked about recycling. Now I have 2 recycling things I wheel out every week. So, building more infrastructure, building infrastructure seems to be just going to add more capacity when we've got it, and we have potential capacity as well. It seems to me that that's the end of the problem. It's a math problem, and that's the end that we need to address.
Are there other questions? I wanted to dig in just a little bit about what we're talking about. If we were to do more with the logistics in the gathering up of organics, what does that entail? I mean, what have other communities done in this space?
Well, I mentioned Swaco, they have a grant specifically for communities to try to encourage more food scrap drop-offs. So what they do is help get the infrastructure in place, whether it be, a gate or, you know, a fence around the drop off, signage, and then they pay for the service for a year or two to get it off the ground, and then the community takes over, they help promotion. And so it's right now, we have done that with our innovation grant, but it requires a community like Colerain to take the initiative to write the application. Whereas if we had a kind of already turnkey project where you just sign up and you get, you know, if you're willing to take this on, you can get this grant, that it would make it easier for communities to do it. So that would be one to help for a community to get into the residential area. But residential is only 14% of what's going to the land. So commercial and industrial are the big areas that we would need to work with. Mary has done a food waste manufacturer cohort, and that has generated a lot of eye-opening need for processing, but also for infrastructure actually on the dock and helping, you know, they're generating such huge volumes that there's no place, you know, we can't even deal with it right now. So, you know, helping them with dehydrators or whatever it is to help get that. That may be a grant. It may just be a lot of technical assistance. It may be going out and, you know, connecting the generators with the processors and the haulers that can take it now. It's coordination.
Well, and I was wondering if it would involve like, you know, potentially a grant to buy whatever, I'm assuming it looks kind of like a garbage truck to actually like physically pick up the stuff from the community drop off to get it to wherever the composting is going to take place.
I'm helping the existing haulers, you know, with their infrastructure.
Yeah.
More conversation, questions?
So, yeah, I think the drop-off model is a good way where you get kind of the champions and the early adopters. But it would be far too inconvenient for a majority of our people. I mean, if we're not looking at curbside collection, I don't think we're ever looking to go to meaningful scale. Just we're not. And we can't go to curbside collection until we have a large site. You know, they can't. There just has to be a reliable site to start a curbside collection program somewhere here in the Hamilton County. And so that's why I just feel like we need to invest in getting a 6 to 8 acre site. That and in the end, that 6 to 8 acre site isn't even gonna cover all the residents and industrial. I mean, it's still just a drop in the bucket, but it's the essential infrastructure to start. So I just, you know, trying to go to 32 different or, you know, 20 different farms. I just don't think that is a reliable infrastructure for a community to do a reliable curbside collection program, which is essential again for behavior change to happen, for people to get people to do this. You are only going to ever get champions if you're talking about only setting up a drop-off system. You'll never get meaningful diversion. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
And we know that we have 132,000 tons of organics that go into the landfill every year, that right now we could at least start working on if we had that 6 acre site. So I would encourage you to find the resources for that 6 to 8 acre site and start working towards curbside collection.
Were any of the RFIs for places that wanted to do a larger site?
Yeah, we had yard trimmings, a current yard trimmings composting facility that would like to add food scraps to their operation. And is, you know, trying to figure out how much capacity they could add and what that would look like. You know, and the support that they really requested from us wasn't investing in their, you know, operations so much as helping with the community outreach piece, which is something we would like to move forward with, is helping them with that community outreach.
So does that means what Sue's looking for or not quite?
Is that a question for me or?
I-
Susan?
Yes, is that, yeah, how large?
They don't know how much food scraps they can take. They're,
Okay.
right now, they're asking us, how much do you need us to take?
Okay, so it's kind of a.
And it is 46 acres, I think.
Okay, so that would be good.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so what did they need to potentially,
They would like
allocate
our
some-
help with community outreach.
so we would need like, a
So when
public
we
partnership.
have hired, like a PR firm in the past, it's been about $5,000.
Uh-huh,
And I think that if we went that route, we could also lean on that PR firm to help other sites like Wyoming or, you know, other places like the Camp Washington site that, you know, we want to see them doing more community outreach. So I think that would be a good way to go. But then also securing feedstocks, helping connect them with manufacturers.
Yeah.
And getting an idea of how much is actually out there.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Michelle,
curious.
can I ask a question? Sorry, I'm still here. So, I want to stick to the feedstock part because that's the first question I get all the time is where are you getting your material? Say I come up with 6 acres. Who's going to go out and find the organic material that's going to the landfill? Am I then responsible for going out and finding that? And then I have to figure out how to get it to my 6 acres? Or is there a program in place that will go and find that material and then bring it to my site? That's the
Yes,
question.
And we did get that question, you know, on multiple areas, and that's one of the reasons we were happy that several food scrap collectors also contributed to the RFI. So, you know, in thinking about the steps of this, there are currently active, and even in the room, companies going out and collecting food scraps.
So that's my
it's-
point. That's my point. Do we strengthen the company that's collecting food scraps?
Right.
Do we
so,
confirm that we can get these food scraps before we focus so hard in on the 6 acres that it's going to? Because again, if I can find 6 acres, the last thing I want to worry about is how I'm going to fill that 6 acres up. I would really want some support on that.
And it has been, there's something that's come up a lot is this chicken and egg, like which do we develop first? Do we develop the processing capacity? Do we have the, you know, feedstocks ready to go and then, you know, spend 3 years making a site or have, my answer right now is that we grow both. Like
Yeah.
with the analogy of
Which
spinning
I
it
agree
later.
with,
So I
yeah.
think, you know, we've worked on on-farm composting on the USDA sites, on the Camp Washington site, and we've got potential class 4s that want to add food scraps. So I feel like we've kind of raised that bar right now on the processing, and now we need to start thinking on this generation side of how we do
Exactly.
that, investing in the collection.
All right. Thank you.
That's more or less what I was gonna ask about is if conversations have been had yet with the bigger site that you're talking about the hauling piece. Like, are they also wanting to be a hauler or is that gonna, you know, what role can we play there in Marion?
They have not expressed any interest in me.
And if they're allowed to speak, I would be curious. to
Yeah.
hear what thoughts.
We might see a couple haulers here.
Well, yeah, we already got public comment, but I understand that there's some experts in the room, related to all of these things. I feel like we're circling around.
Yeah.
Yes, sites, yes. Okay, we've got way more information than we have had in the past related to capacity. That's what we asked for and that's what we're getting. So, okay, that's great. Now we're hearing, well, okay, so we've got capacity here, but we don't have enough capacity here when it comes to getting the food stuff to the site. And I'm intrigued also by this idea that it's residential, yes, but as usual, the big target is it's commercial, which is where
And-
most of it is.
and
right?
that'll
Just like
actually be
recycling,
cleaner.
It's the same equation.
So,
Right,
yeah.
recycling is always the big guys
Yeah.
if we're really gonna make a dent. So I just want to get that out there. In which I feel like if it's the big sites, the hauling then becomes a little bit easier because you know, you're not
It's one big
You're not-
load to
yeah.
one place and not,
exactly
10
right.
different places
As
to pick up.
opposed to,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's something we need to think about. And I don't know enough about the hauling industry, to know whether or not it's primarily residential or, community-based or manufacturing-based or commercial-based. So, what is the will of this committee? So I don't wanna, I think I feel like we have more to discuss, but I'm curious to know where we want to go with this. Or have a more robust conversation about that piece that we're just kind of talking about now.
I always support the staff and they had 4 recommendations, but it sounds like the committee also has interest in the staff further developing a hauler solution as well as putting more time and effort into the larger potential 42-acre site or 6-acre site or whatever it may be, including seeing if that site would be feasible under the rules that this committee has adopted. Would it even be a viable site based on siting requirements that we now have in place? And so I would wonder if it would be appropriate to make a motion to support the 4 staff goals as well as those 2 initiatives and come back to us next month with additional information in those areas.
And I'd be interested in seeing if we could get, and this might be harder than the composting sites, but a map of the current community drop-off locations. Just to kind of see.
I think that's on HCPH's website as well. for the
Okay.
Compost.
Okay,
We're gonna put the recommendations back up here. Maybe at our next meeting, we have a more significant conversation from some of the experts about this. We've been known to have presentations in the past. So let's think about that. If that's gonna be the focus of the next meeting, then maybe we get some experts to come in and create a presentation around that. But here are the next steps that were recommended. So we've got an idea. We don't have a motion yet, to support these recommendations. So partnering with the farmers, mini demonstration site, community outreach and organic feedstuffs.
is there like a budget estimate on what it would cost to do this?
Well, we already have the budget for the farmers, so we're taking that out of the carryover balance. And we've already also done the same with the mini demonstration. So those are already funded. We think, we have not gotten bids, but we think hiring a PR firm will be about $5,000.
That was our most recent quotes. There are quotes that are higher, but that's.
The organic feedstocks one would be the one we do not really have a budget on. We could do it in a limited capacity with our current staff, and we do. And we certainly are already doing the subsidy to the food rescue organizations, so that's a start. That one is a little trickier. I'm not sure how exactly you secure feedstocks, and even if you can hire a consultant to help with that, I am not sure. So that would be one that would be paving new territory.
Yeah. Sounds like it's one of the things that it's one of the building blocks, right?
Yeah.
That really needs to happen.
So, but by way of these recommendations, so that last one, that's the most challenging of all. Continue working with manufacturers, food rescue organizations, others to with large volume of organics. I mean, that's vague enough where we can come back at our next meeting and hone in on that one. And say, we've already got a better understanding of some of the others, but that one is more complex and we need more information. But the language here is continue working with that. So I feel like that's vague enough that, I mean, I'm comfortable supporting that, knowing that we're gonna have more information at the next meeting.
Yeah.
And then we will have to get into finances and,
Yeah.
you know, what exactly, that kind of outreach would cost. Yeah, so it's, and that's always kind of looming. You saw the drawdown, so we've got a little bit of time. Because we, you know, our balances, we actually have a fairly substantial balance at the moment. It's just a matter of, you know, how that draws down fairly quickly here in the next couple of years. So, is there any further discussion or do you want to make a motion?
I'll make that as a motion. Yep.
And what were the other two? You said
So
this and,
Piece 4 plus research further the connecting, so the hauling portion, as well as further develop the larger site to see if it's a viable option.
okay. Is there a second to that? Awesome. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so the expectation is, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we've got a meeting
November.
in November. So let's work to have a meeting with some presentations related to all of what we're just talking. Okay, more opportunity, more time to talk about this. Okay, all right, well, thank you. Thank you, very informative with the RFP and the RFI, very informative, so thank you. All right, then the solid waste fee increase, it's an agenda item. Do you want to talk about this?
I don't need to, I do have a timeline if the committee, wishes to increase fees, so it would be, about April of next year, if they, to pass a resolution today. The out-of-district fees, I ran the numbers at 50, if we increased it by 50 cents, it would be about an additional $630,000 a year. If we increased it by $2, that could be $2,500,000 a year. So that's just the out of district fee.
So I'm wondering if the 600, if it was raised 50 cents, if that would be enough to help, you know, potential grants and things down the line for the kind of logistics part of things. But I don't know, do we want to do this like incrementally, or do we just want to take a large leap at some point in the future for the fees?
So my take on this is the same as it has been in the past, which is I still don't know what the cost is of what we're talking about. We pivoted to collection, which I think is the right thing to do if that's where the need is. But I have no understanding of what that's going to cost. I would suggest that we take one swipe at it instead of continuously increasing fees. I think there's some predictability to just doing it and then letting people respond to that. So I need more clarity, and this characterization that we're kicking the can, well, I appreciate that others may think that. I just want to know how much it is and what we need to raise. That's what I want to know. I don't have that information right now. And so it's hard to know what the amount should be because we don't know what the cost is. Because we don't know what we're trying to get to. And so I know there's a timing element here where it takes some time to take the vote and then have that finally kick in. But this is new ground for us, and I'm willing to wait for the information I'm comfortable with to approve of a fee increase at a further date if necessary, if the numbers bear that out. So, but open up to conversation.
So I heard Michelle throw out a 14 million. It would cost 14 million to do that. So we didn't go down that. What cost 14 million?
The consultant estimated that an urban composting site would cost 14.
For one of the 6 acres, we would need at least 14 million. So with a fee increase, which would give us 2 million, it would probably take us 7 years to save up enough, or we wouldn't really need it all at once, right? We would.
Yeah, those things take a while to get permitted, to find land to.
But kind of getting to 14 million, do you see us getting to that 14 million without a fee increase?
No.
What fee increase do we need to get to the 14 million?
I guess it would depend on how quickly you want to get there.
So if we wanted to go quick,
Then the bigger increase.
then we would want to do the $2. So we could start generating an additional $2 million a year, still and maintain our current programming. And that 2 million then could be invested into this infrastructure that we know needs 14 million.
And is there any reason we couldn't hold on to like the 2 million until it was needed, knowing that it was gonna be earmarked for that in the future?
And we could carry over, right, like we have, so we could earmark or not earmark.
Yeah, there's no reason. I do think Ohio We Pay usually, they request that we tell them why we're carrying over so much. And so if there was a reason that we could put in there.
And just say, hey, at some point in the next 5 to 10 years, we wanna,
Does the one site that we were just talking about that has some interest that's potentially 6 acres, but has 42 acres, do you think they will cost that much money to develop? Do you have any sense, or do you need more time to develop an understanding of how much that site would?
They are not requesting any investment from Hamilton County, except with hiring a.
So at about, like, maybe, so 5,000 for 2 years, it would take at least a year, 2 years, right? At least 2 years, we would want to commit, so 2 years times 5,000.
120,000.
So that's about 120, so I would like to, try to get that path moving as quickly as possible. because that would be the cheapest one, and because there's no siting involved. It's already in an area that's interested in doing it.
You wanna get what, I miss, I'm
Trying, so yeah, so trying to, facilitate that. So giving,
Well, that's already 2 acres.
that's the hauling, the piece that we're gonna talk about the next, that's exactly where we're
That's
headed.
the extra.
Is if we've
yeah.
got, if we, it is not a foregone
Yeah.
conclusion that we need to build a facility for 14 million dollars. That is not a foregone, because we've got community partners that have that kind of, way more than that, right? That said, we don't need your money to do that.
yeah,
We might need your money to
To
get
get
the
it
food scraps to
to them.
us.
yeah,
But that's next, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, yeah.
next month, when we talk, or next meeting, when we talk about that, now that's something that, you know, we could put a dollar amount to eventually, hopefully soon, and figure that out. If we don't have, I mean, I personally don't, I am not interested in building a facility when the private sector is gonna do it for us.
Yeah.
And all we need to
That's
do
a
is partner with the hauling piece, which is something we just heard they're not interested in doing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's kind
Yeah,
of,
that, don't
shift.
recreate the wheel if it's already
yeah,
out
that I
there.
feel like
Yeah.
just happened.
Yeah.
Anything else related to? All right, so that concludes our conversation on the solid waste fee increase then. More to come on that at our next meeting, when we get more information. All right, we'll move on to informational items. The waste reduction innovation grants update.
Yes, and that is attached, the last attachment. There was just one grant and it was for, I've lost it, but it was for a manure composting site, for a horse barn. They originally, actually, reached out about the on-farm composting program and then realized they really don't want to add food scraps. So they applied for the innovation grant and, received it in order to build up their infrastructure to compost horse manure. Which is, kind of a unique problem in urban counties. Most rural counties don't have a problem with horse manure going to the landfill, but we do. So it's a good project for us.
Any questions related to that? Okay, thank you. Our next meeting, as discussed, is Wednesday, November 18th, 3 o'clock, here in this building. Is this the first time we've been in this building?
Sure.
Second, because we were at
I was
the,
gonna welcome
the
you.
fancy room last time.
I know, it's way fancier, right? All right, is there anything else before we adjourn? All right, who wants to make the motion to adjourn? Second, all right, thank you all for coming to the meeting, appreciate it.
Thank you.